need to season this pan, so I'm gonna bring you along and we're gonna see what happens. So today I'm working on a little kitchen project, and I thought it would be fun to show you the process of what I'm doing and just see what happens together. So the subject of today's project is this paella pan. So this is what we're talking about, and I'm actually gonna put it down because I feel like the metal's like reflecting lights everywhere. But this is what we're gonna be dealing with today. And I got this pan because I have some recipes I wanna make that call for this specific style of pan, and I did not have a pan like this, so I said, let's get one. So I'll link the specific pan that I got below the video if you're curious about that. But today we're gonna be doing a seasoning, and this is something that I have done with cast iron before, but I've never done it with a pan like this. And I'm also gonna be trying a new method today. So lots of exciting things happening, and I thought it would be fun to document and show you the process, and we can see what happens. So if you're not familiar with the seasoning process, basically what we're doing is adding very thin layers of oil to protect the pan, give it like a protective coating, but also to make it better for cooking in, make it less, make it more like non-stick. And that's because things like this raw iron pan or like a cast iron pan, I think this is raw steel, they can rust, and they need that protective coating to keep them from rusting. So we're gonna be doing that. And just so you know, before I got started today, I did scrub the pan down. So it actually came with directions, which, I mean, they're the same, it's the same steps I was gonna take and just like follow directions online, but the fact that the pan came with a little sheet on how to do it, I thought was extra helpful. But the first step was to actually scrub the pan down with steel wool. So I've already done that. I didn't show you that because I felt like maybe that was a little boring, but I just basically scrubbed the heck out of it with steel wool and soap and hot water to get the manufacturer coating off, because they put a coating on it just for storage and shipping so it doesn't rust when it's in the warehouse or when it's in transit. But then once you get it, you're supposed to, you know, scrub all that off and start fresh to do the seasoning process. So I've already done the scrubbing, and now we're gonna get into the first step of the actual seasoning, which is putting this bad boy in the oven just to warm up a little bit before we put the oil on, so it can kind of get, they say to open the pores of the pan. So basically making it so the oil will seep in better and everything will work better. So let's head over to the oven and do step one. Okay, so, ooh, that was a sound. This is the inside of my oven. I know, it's beautiful. It looks like an oven that's well loved. So we're just gonna plop that in there and get it nice and good. I guess, I mean, if I'd gotten a pan bigger than this, because they did have bigger sizes, it probably wouldn't have even fit. So I'm glad this is a 15 or so inch one. They had like an 18 inch, but I'm glad I went with this size, because otherwise we might not have even been able to do this. Okay, pan in the oven. Let's see, we need to bake, and we're supposed to put it at 200 and just let the pan like preheat with the oven and sit in here for about 10 minutes. So we'll let that go, and 10 minutes later, we'll see where we are. So our 10 minutes are up, and actually the oven just finished preheating right before the timer went off. So apparently it takes my oven 10 minutes to get to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. So now we know, but let's get this pan out of the oven. All right, here we go. It's definitely warm in here, but ooh, I think I need oven mitts. Let's be safe about this. Okay, get this out and start with our first layer of seasoning. Now for seasoning, we're gonna be using flax oil, and this is my first time ever using flax oil to season a pan. And I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've heard people say like this is the best way to go, but I've never tried it myself. I've seasoned cast iron before, but I've always used some other sort of cooking fat. So I'm interested to see if this really is amazing. And honestly, with the other ones, like I've done it with coconut oil before, I've done it with lard before, I haven't really gotten great results, so maybe this really is the secret, but we're gonna find out today, I guess, based on my one personal experience. So this is just pure flaxseed oil. I did see some tips online to make sure that you get 100% flaxseed oil, because sometimes there might be blends or other things in there, and I did see that when I went shopping for this. So I found this in the like refrigerated case at my grocery store. Also, they had the probiotics in there. It was kind of in like the natural food section, so that's a good place to look, but they had other blends in there as well, and so you have to be careful. You just want to get one that's just flaxseed oil, and that's what this seems to be. So we're supposed to put this in a thin layer and rub it all around, and then we can start our first bake. So let's get going. Okay, so the first step we're supposed to do is just dribble a little bit of this oil on the pan. So we'll start with that, and then we're supposed to rub it in with our hands. Sure, we'll start there and see how far that gets us. so I think we're pretty well covered. I'm gonna wash the oil off of my hands really quick and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now that my hands are clean, the next step in this whole thing is to wipe the pan off. So we've spread the oil on top in a pretty thin layer, and now we're gonna wipe off any excess with the paper towel. So there's just a very, very, very fine layer left. Also, just so you know, this pan was hot when it came out of the preheating oven. So be careful that you don't just pour oil on right away and start rubbing and burn yourself. But you know, in the time it took me to get it out of the oven and get the camera set up, it was cool enough for me to touch again. So just a little note there, but let's wipe off the excess of this. All right, so I think we're good to go, and now we put this back in the oven again. So this is our first official step of the actual seasoning process. So I have put a cookie sheet in here just to kind of catch anything that may drip off. I mean, nothing should drip off, but just as another precaution, because you know, it is a really thin layer. But we're gonna put this in the oven and we're gonna put it in upside down. So let me try to balance this on here like that. Ooh. Okay, I think we're pretty well balanced. We're gonna close this up and then we have to preheat. And it says to put the oven at 500. So that's what we're gonna do. And what's gonna happen here is the pan is preheating with the oven, and then once the oven is preheated, we're gonna set a timer for 1 hour. And so the pan will be here in the oven for the preheating time for the full hour, and then once it hits that hour, we're gonna turn the oven off and just let the pan cool down in the oven for a couple hours or so. So this is gonna be our first round of seasoning, and we're gonna be doing multiple rounds today. So note, this is something that you're gonna need some time for. Like, I'm doing it on a weekend day. I'm just chilling in my casual clothes with my hair pulled back, no makeup, and I can just kind of let this go on in the background while I'm doing other stuff around the house. So round 1 is starting, and I will see you in a few hours. Baking and cooling time is up for round 1. So let's see what we got going on. Oh wow, look at that. Okay, so it's got like its first layer. Oh, it's a little hot. Let me get my oven mitts. Okay, here we go. So let's flip this over and get a good look at it. So you can see, you know, it was that kind of bright silver. Now it's got its first layer of a sort of patina on it. And if you remember, the handles were green and now they're blackened. And it looks like where it was touching the pan, some of it came off. That's what I was worried about with these handles. Like, the handles had that green stuff on there, and it seemed like not like something you want to put in the oven at 500 degrees, but these are the instructions that came with the pan. So I guess it's fine. I'm just doing what they told me to do. So we've got the first layer. Now let's put on layer number 2. Actually, first let's get another close-up look at the pan, because I feel like the lighting is better over here on the table. So see how it's kind of like, it's on there, but it's kind of speckly. So I think we got a good first layer, but we definitely need more. And I'm guessing as we do this over and over, hopefully it's all gonna be this kind of dark color and we won't see any speckling anymore. That's what I'm guessing, but we'll see what happens. All right, back in the oven we go for round 2, and I'm gonna try doing it right side up this time, because upside down, the handles are definitely gonna touch whether I have the pan in there or not. You know what I mean? Like, it's either gonna be touching the grate, or it's gonna be touching the pan. So I'm gonna try right side up. I don't think we're gonna get any drips because there was nothing on the pan from the first layer. So hopefully this will protect the handles from getting damaged anymore. They're just little spots, but still, I don't want more of that. So we're gonna put this back in and preheat again. So let's see, back up to 500, and then we will let the pan preheat with the oven. Once it hits 500, oh, not 505, 500, we'll set the timer for another hour. And then once the hour's up, we'll let it cool for another 2 hours. And side note with all of this, something else, if you are gonna do season anything like this at home is try to do it on a day where it's pretty cool outside and you can have the windows open. So I try to do this any type of seasoning cast iron or anything on like a spring day or a fall day where it's perfectly fine to have the windows open, because since you are heating the pan and the oil up to such high temperatures, it can start to smell a little funny. It's not great. So if you can let that escape, then that's gonna be the best option. So I'm gonna let this go, and I'll see you again in about 3.5 hours. Okay, so it's later now, it's dark outside. We're rocking those kitchen lights. Stunning light here. But let's see where we are after the end of round 2. Okay, we're much darker. Let's see. Let me get the oven mitt again, because it's still kind of warm. Get this out of here and see what we think. Oh, sorry. That was probably really loud for you. It was really loud for me. Okay, oven closed. Okay, look at this. So we can still see like there's some uneven areas for sure, but it's not as splotchy as it was from the first layer. So, we're making progress. Let's check the back side. Yeah, okay, so we need to do at least 3 layers. 3 to 6 is what is recommended. So now let's go ahead and do layer 3. All right, round 3, in the oven we go, nice and cozy, and we are gonna preheat yet again to 500. The oven's getting a workout today. So back up to 500, there we go. And now we do the whole thing again. I'm gonna let it preheat. Once it's preheated, set the timer for an hour, and then we'll turn it off and let it cool. So it's the next day now. I didn't have time to do another layer before I went to bed last night. So I'm gonna try to do some more today. So we're making this into a 2-day project, but I'll show you where we are after 3 layers, and then we'll go ahead and do the 4th. So this is what we have going on. I think it looks pretty good. There's still like some areas where it looks uneven. I don't know, the light's kind of bouncing off there. You can kind of see. I don't know if it will ever get totally even, or maybe as I use the pan, it'll start to even out more and more. But I think, overall it looks like a pretty good layer. I just wanna at least do 1 more and see if I can get this to change at all. Because 3 is the minimum that they recommend, and I'd wanna do at least a little bit more than the minimum. So I'm not really sure, but we'll do the 4th layer and we'll see if that makes a noticeable difference. And in we go again. This should be a pretty familiar routine to you by now, but I don't want to skip over any parts. So got that in there, and then the preheating situation up to 500 again. And then we'll let this preheat, go for an hour, and then cool for another 2 hours. So it's early evening time here now, and the pan has finished its 4th layer, and it is cooled off and everything. And so now I'm gonna show you our final result. Boom, there we go. Look at that pan. I mean, you can see on the edges, it's still got a little bit of this ripply look, but I think it looks more even and darker than it did after the 3rd one, and I am really happy with it. It's really cool too, especially because I've never seasoned a pan like this where you can see this color change. With cast iron, it's already dark to start off with, so you don't really see what's happening. And I think it's cool with this how we've been able to see. I mean, you saw what it looked like when we started off, and to be able to see how the color has changed as this layer of oil has been built up slowly over time, thin layer by thin layer. Now the real test, of course, is gonna come as I start to use this pan and store it, and we see how it holds up, and also how it continues to get built up with more and more oil over time after being used over and over again. But for starting off, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and it makes me want to re-season all of my cast iron. I mean, I still need to put this into practice, but for a first time trying with the flax oil, so far I'm happy. And as I do start to cook with it, I am really considering maybe using the flax oil for all my pans and just seeing how that works with the cast iron, because this, I mean, it looks like it created a really nice layer. But that's it for this little cooking kitchen adventure. Let me know in the comments, have you used flax oil before to season pans, or do you have any kitchen projects that you're working on right now? Because I'd love to hear about that. And if you happen to be new here and you want more healthy eating tips and nutrition info and videos like this one, then make sure that you subscribe, because eating healthy and living a healthy lifestyle really doesn't have to be complicated, and I want to show you how to do it. And if you want to watch some more videos, I have a couple linked over here that you might like. Thanks for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.